Hey watch friends, whether you've been in the market for a watch winder or you're just curious about the function, today we're going to check out a couple from the brand Mozsly, and they send in their single watch winders. I do want to mention they did send these in, as you saw from the banner there. It's an interesting story. So they actually were only going to send one here, specifically this one, but there was a mix-up and they ended up sending this one in, so they just told me to go ahead and check out both, which is nice to see the two materials, and I have some interesting feedback that I'll share about that. I do of course have a link down the video description if you want to check out the brand site. Let's set one of these aside and we'll go ahead and take these one at a time, get through the basic specs and kind of just what they have to offer here. So these are their single watch winders. They also have dual watch winders and they've got a variety of different colors and configurations that are available. This one here is the all metal version. So as you can see, it has kind of a powder coat finish on that. I will say this has turned out to be a fingerprint magnet. So you can see that's one of the interesting observations about the different materials. I like the finish of this a lot. I think it's a real nice powder coat to it. It has a good coloration. You know, it's more black than it's picking up with the sun there on camera. But that being said, you know, it's a nice powder coat coloration for this. This is all black. There is a silver variant as well that's in this. But it's a real cool industrial kind of look to it, and I like it. So these, as far as basic construction, this has, as you can see here, this is somewhat unique. It has a screw off for that, and it can be easier there. Check that out, because one of the negative things that I saw was you can just do kind of single turns. Some people are complaining that if you're accessing for daily use, that can be a little bit tedious as opposed to just flipping open a box. However, to me, that's really not a big deal at all. But what's nice about that is that actually gives kind of a dust shield. So that seals up your watch. As you can see here, that's threaded on there. That actually encloses it. This has a glass, I believe, sounds like glass, feels like glass, but that has a glass lens there that actually encapsulates it. And that's kind of nice. If you're especially doing long-term storage or anything like that, it's good to keep it dust-free so you're not getting anything potentially that's going to scratch it up. Inside, basic function here, you just have a pillow that slides out. These pillows are interesting. So they're an accordion style pillow. As you can see, a box here, kind of faux carbon fiber, but this just squishes down. So it's a very versatile and interesting way to be able to adjust to multiple wrist sizes. I've seen different ones that have like finger legs and those kinds of things. But that being said, I really actually kind of like this one as far as that style. It's fit easily on bracelet, just squeeze it, slide it on. And then after that, all you do is just line up with the slot and then just slide that in. Make sure it's, of course, deep enough that you don't hit it with the lens. So basic construction and assembly there, but I think it's an interesting concept compared to some of the other offerings. As far as the measurements on this, these single watch winders, these are coming in, the length of it is 6 inches. If you include this cap here, it takes it out to roughly 7 inches. As far as the square construction for this, it is coming in at 4 inches by 4 inches, actually, I think 4 1/8. So it's a square design there. As far as the powering, this has not only power cord, and we'll talk about this one here in a moment, but you can see that says in, but then additionally it actually has batteries as well. So you can do AA for that, or you can do, it is an either or, so you can't leave batteries in here and go by power according to the manual at least. I haven't really experimented around with that to see, and I'd have to do long-term tests to see what it did to the batteries, if it defaults to those or how that works. But that is something important to note, so you can't really use it as a battery backup. Not that it's that big of a deal when you're talking about something that's a luxury like a watch winder. It does have, as you can see, different settings here, and we'll come back to that momentarily. One of the things that's neat, though, is it does have this output. So what that actually is in the box, it comes with this cord right here. So it's a little coupler cord, and it's very similar as far as the power output. So you can see that this has the power cord. This is the main power cord, and it's just a USB style, so USB type A that just plugs in there. And then this goes, of course, to the input, and that's how you get the power. But what's interesting is if you only want to use a single cord and you want multiple of these, whether it be the single or the double configuration, I believe, you can actually use these jumpers. So then what you do is just plug this into the output and then plug that output into the input of the other, and you can kind of daisy chain them. So that's a cool touch there to be able to use a single plug if you do want to have more than one of these. So I like that feature as well. As far as the functions on this, it is capable, as you'd expect for any competent watch winder, it is capable of doing clockwise, counterclockwise, as well as alternating. The way the alternating goes is it goes the first hour is going to be in one direction, and then the next hour it'd go the other. Because all of these are on 1 hour sequencing. So here you have adjusting your direction as well as the off position. Here is your mode, which this is going to be your turns per day if you're not familiar with it. That's going to vary by every watch as far as what the movement requires, specific to direction. Some are bilateral winding, some of them are going to be unidirectional, and it can be either for that. You will have to play around with it because keep in mind the stated spec for the movement is not necessarily going to be the orientation that it is in here, so it might actually be opposite of what you expect if you read the actual technical specs of the movement. So that's just something to keep aware of if you're new to watch winders. As far as the speeds here, these are coming for the 4 modes. So it does have 4 different modes here as far as the speed, and they can be used in configuration with the direction. The speeds are going to be 650, so this is level 1, 2, 3, and 4, 650 turns per day, 900 turns per day, 1200 turns per day, and 1500 turns per day. So you have a pretty significant range, so from 650 turns up to 1500 turns. The way that works for sequencing is, as I understand it, it goes a continuous on, and I haven't really actually clocked that as far as on an hour. I've used these for weeks just to make sure that everything worked well and I didn't have any issues so I could give meaningful feedback, and it went without a hiccup. But as far as the sequencing there, going again through the 4 levels, 3 minutes and 28 seconds on, and then the rest is going to be off. 4 minutes and 48 seconds for level 2, 6 minutes and 28 seconds for level 3, and then 8 minutes and 8 seconds for level 4. So pretty basic functionality there. One of the things that I've been struck with this is ultimately I think the finishing has been really nice, and we'll talk about a caveat there in just a moment. I already talked about the fingerprint aspect, but that's a minor thing. You're not going to be handling these most likely that much, and if so, they have plenty of other options, and we'll look at their PU leather, which is synthetic leather, here in a moment. But one of the things that I've really liked about these is I do think the finishing as a whole is nice, but the actual function itself, this thing is virtually silent. The motor on this, you can't really hear it winding at all. I mean, it's just a very, very slight hum if you're really listening, but that's really nice there. So you can put this anywhere without getting distracted in an office or anything like that. As far as the finishing, this, as I mentioned there, the finishing has been really good. With this particular one and with the mix-up, I noticed a couple different things. So one was with this particular one, let me see if I can find the spot here on camera. This one actually, yeah, so this arrived, you can see there, just some nicks on this. So I'm wondering if this was old stock or factory second, and that gets to that in a moment. So this was drop shipped by one of their resellers or one of their U.S. distributors. So I do want to mention that up front. This wasn't coming directly from the company, so that could be owing to that. But then bringing in one of the other things here that was kind of interesting is this actually, so the metal one only came with this booklet. The packaging was pretty nice, comes in a sleeve overall to protect, so I'm not sure how it would have been damaged, certainly not in shipping, because the box was fine. But it came with this big booklet for it, and that's it. The other one, interestingly, and having received the two, I was able to compare them. The PU leather one came with this book, which you can see is a much thicker book, and it's even more languages for it. And I believe this is the newer packaging, because it then came with microfiber cloth, and then it also came with this nice little, like, kind of quick start guide that goes through, and you can see the different settings we just talked about there, in case you want to see that on a visual. But then additionally, it shows kind of the pillow orientation. Something else, though, with it is I noticed another change between those. This one actually came, so the PU leather one with the newer booklet came with this pillow, and you can see references of this on their website as well. It actually comes with a different style, so you can use this just the same, but it gives you 2 options, and I think that's nice. So I like the direction they're going there. Bringing it over as far as the actual finishing of the other variant, let's go ahead and bring that back on camera. You can see with this one, you don't have to worry about fingerprints and those kind of things. This is their PU leather. The finishing overall, I think, is nicer on this particular variant for it. So I don't know if it's because it's an older stock or what. Not only did it not have any of the kind of boo-boos here on the outside, but on top of that, just overall, this is really nicely done. So I've been pleased with that. But the overall orientation, everything's going to be the same. Same thing as far as the functional. Let's do that again. You can see just a quick turn there. Just turn your wrist a little bit, and that's it. So really not bad at all. And I find doing this daily has not been problematic. So that I think is nice touches there. And then again, same configuration with the input and output, so you can daisy chain those and all that kind of good stuff. So that's been the basic overview as far as for these winders. I found that they've worked flawlessly, as I mentioned. Really silent in terms of usage there, so no complaints. The finishing is good. As far as pricing on these are only coming in at $90, which I say only because for watch winders, if you look at like Wolf and some other higher end ones out there, or higher priced ones, this I think is a pretty good option, and it's a nice kind of gateway if you've been curious about or wanting to get a winder. At the end of the day, as far as are winders essential, to me, absolutely not. And there's a reason why I've gone this long in my collection and not really focus on winders. There's a lot of debate out there of, are they safe to use for long term? Does it put premature wear on the watch? And then you get the counter debate to that of, letting them sit dormant without having the lubrication kind of shifting around from the movement being started, and all that stuff can be negative too. With this, to me, I think if you have something that is like a perpetual calendar or a moon phase or something with a lot of complications, these are a really nice option to have to be able to just throw it in. So to me, they're one of the things that for a relatively low price point, I don't mind having it around, and I've actually found it's been kind of nice. So for me, I don't tend to use this every day, but I'm glad to have the options here. So if you are in the market for one or thinking about picking one up, again, Mozsly, I definitely think from what I've seen and experienced here that they're worth a look and should certainly be considered as far as for your options. Nice quiet motor, good finishing, I think decent price point overall. And then on at least this style, consistent with their website, you do get a lot of options that come along with that as well. So I hope this video has been interesting for you. If you did enjoy it, as always, please give that like button a tap. And if you haven't already done so, give that subscribe button a tap. Let me know what you think. Drop a comment. Do you use watch winders? What do you think of these ones? Are there better options out there? Thanks for watching.